We saw different selectors here, but let's discuss which selector is best. Now I'm gonna uncomment it all. I have multiple commenting statements. That's why it didn't work at all. Anyway, we have the element selector, ID selector, class selectors, all that. Now, let's compare which is the best. Now, if I have the element selector, let's say I'm using the style in this file. Now, all the tables that I have will obviously take this style. Now, what if I want to have a like 3-4 different tables in here and I want to use different styles to it? I wouldn't be able to accomplish with this because once you have this table selector and when you don't mention the class or the ID, all the tables will take the same style. And you have to understand the very purpose of this external style. Now, any website that you take, you will have a number of pages. Now, all these pages will obviously include the style.css, and the primary purpose of having this external CSS is to apply these styles in all the HTML files. So you have like 10 HTML files, all will have this link and they all will use the styles from here. Now the point is, if I have a table or element selector, all the HTML files will have the same style. I mean, all the tables will have the same style in all the HTML files. Now, if I have the specific part, okay, the ID selector, I have to say, I have to give an ID here for this para. I have to give an ID here. I mean, I have to give separate different IDs. I shouldn't use the same IDs. So I have to give different IDs altogether. And for each ID, I have to mention a style. Now just think of it. If I'm doing that for each ID and I'm having for each ID, if I'm using a style here, let's say ID1, ID2, ID3. So I'll be having ID1, ID2 and ID3 here. So it's like me, I mean, this IDs, right? This IDs will also be there in the other 10 HTML files. Now, even there, I have to give all those 10 IDs. That's a huge work, right? So why do that? Now, if that is the case, I'll be using style here. If ID has to be, I mean, if ID is the way that I need to apply style. So the so there's a class selector, right? Now there's a class selector. Now, if you think of class selectors, let's say I have a para here, I have a para and other one of the other 10 HTML files. Now, let's say I can also have like class para 1, class para 2. This could be yellow. Can have a class para 3, which could be black. Now let's say I mean at some CSS I want to use at some HTML file I want to use class para 1, and some CSS file some HTML files I want to use a class para 3, or say I have another para here. I want to use a class para, I think there's a 3 here. Yeah. So if you think of it, you could use this class para n number of times in many HTML files. So which just makes maintenance pretty easier. Now LO has been applied here and here because of the class para 2. Class para 2 is yellow, and class para 3, another para is basically black. So class selectors are the best way to apply styles. But you might think, if that is the case, why do we even have the ID selectors and the element selectors in place? Why does even CSS accommodate that? There is a reason for that. I mean, when we do exercise, in some cases, we obviously need that. So technology always provides provision for the edge cases. Oh, these are the edge cases. So just keep this in mind. If you have class, you can apply the same class at multiple places. I can even apply it over here, because all we say is color black and font family. That could be applied to any, right? And regardless of element. So this is a cool thing to organize your style. So just keep this in mind. Anytime you wanna style HTML page, always use class. Only during the edge cases, use IDs.